Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. Hosted by me, Dr. Sharon Cradle and Sherelle Higgins. We will be discussing intriguing, intricate, inspirational, informative, and intelligent topics with our individual twists and talents.
We will present real stories, real solutions, and engage in real talk.
So we invite you to be our company every Sunday afternoon at 3:00 p.m. as we focus on transcendent thinking that will move you forward. You become the company you keep.
What company do you keep? Oh yeah, we are biological sisters by way of the south side of Chicago. So get ready to keep company with us and our guests as we talk about it.
Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Sisters in Company Talking About It live show. We are so excited that you have decided to join us today, and we are just here off an incredible experience. And of course, as you know, we have our guest here, Deirdre Windsor, who's been on the show before with us. And I am
So
Dr.
happy to be here with
Sharon.
you all.
That's right. Yes. And I am Dr. Sharon Cradle. I am the oldest of this dynamic duo.
And I am Sherelle Higgins, and I am the favorite of this dynamic duo.
And I'm the third angel.
Yeah. Yes. We just had a wonderful experience this weekend. We are coming back from the Master the Media Summit. And when I tell you it was everything and more, anytime I do an event, anytime I go somewhere, I am expecting a lot. And I'm going to tell you, they surpassed my expectations. And I tell you, if you don't know Dr. Avis Jones, the Weaver, and Ty Miles, you need to look them up because those women are dynamic at what they do. And as most of you all know, Sherelle and I started this show because we just wanted to make a difference and wanted to make sure there were different voices being heard, but we don't have a background in media.
Right.
And so, once you start something and you want to get into business, you have to make it your business to know your business.
Right.
And so that's why we went, and it was absolutely incredible.
It absolutely was. We learned a lot of stuff about, what this platform really means, right? And how to manage it from a business perspective. And so you all can look forward to seeing us, going forward and doing some of those things because it's so critical for our voices to be heard. It's so critical because, the mainstream media will never, ever put us in a positive light. So it is up to us to do that. And that's not to say that each of us don't have issues and challenges that we have to overcome because we all do. But the good news is we can overcome them.
Right, exactly.
And we can do it with excellence.
Yes.
And we can help each other get to excellence.
Exactly.
And it's okay. We got to share the information. And we have to invest in ourselves. And if you are not willing to invest in yourself, don't expect anybody else to invest in you.
Right. And I'm having a problem with my Facebook feed for some reason.
She got that bootleg.
I don't know what this is all
Internet.
about. But it keeps going black. My screen keeps going black, and I'm not sure what that's all about. But anyway, you all know that you need to go on listenvisionlive.com anyway.
Right. Meanwhile, over here, on this side, I got 2 Facebook Live feeds going.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what's going on here. But I gave our engineer some photos because I wanted you to see who was in the house. And so we had quite a few people there. There was, of course, Dr. Rashad Ritchie. There was, what's her name? Tara Setmeyer from Al Jazeera. There was Dr. Jason Johnson from Morgan State University. And, of course, he's a contributor on CNN and some other stations. We had...
Tara actually works for CNN.
Well, Tara works for CNN.
Yes.
I guess Akila.
Right.
Yeah, Akila works for
Al Jazeera.
Al Jazeera. And so those were, if you see the pictures, you have to be on Listen Vision Live in order to see some of the photos. And when I tell you those people, they poured into us. And we learned a lot about what we're doing that we don't even know we're doing. And so it was absolutely incredible. So Sherelle, what was your favorite moment of the event?
Listen to the irony in that she's asking the favorite for her favorite moment. Isn't that great? For me,
Yes.
look, and this is so timely, right? So
Right.
for me,
I don't know what
the confirmation was just be authentic. Just be who you are. And see that moment I just had? That's just who I am, right?
Right.
And so just be authentic. Just be who you are, and people will start to seek you out when you start to put yourself first and put your business out there and go after what you want.
Exactly.
And be creative in your thinking. Don't just think that social media, if I'm on social media, I'm good. You got to hit it from every angle, and you got to be committed to it. And so don't do it until you can commit to it.
Right. And so for me, it was really about helping to frame what it is that we do and putting some terms and some language connecting some of the things that we do here. We just kind of do naturally, but because neither one of us have the background, now we understand hooks. Right.
Right.
We understand taglines and sound bites and colors and, just everything that goes with that. And so I just want to just publicly
prints on camera.
Right. Exactly.
That is solid colors.
Yes. That's one of the things.
Violation number one.
Right.
Violation number one.
And it's funny that you
When
said
I walked
that.
in the door, I thought, I probably should have wore something solid.
Well, that's one of the things that they talked about today. And
Right.
being able to pitch to producers, which
Right.
was amazing, amazing, and knowing what you're pitching, right, and getting it down. And there was this one sister there, Jade. She blew it out the water.
Yeah, you did.
She just blew it. I was just in so much awe
Yes.
of just the entire weekend. And I tell you, if you're not investing in yourself for the things that you have a passion for, the things that you want to do, and as well as your mission, because we talked about mission and passion and purpose. And so whatever your mission is, you have got to invest in yourself, because if you're not investing in yourself, and people aren't going to necessarily take you seriously. And so it was just everything. So we just wanted to start there. And so I started there because I was so excited. But scripture,
I was going to say, you forgot the scripture.
I didn't forget.
Okay. All right. Hallelujah.
God will do more than you can imagine. Exceedingly abundantly that you can even think. And I was just paraphrasing that thing, because that's how it's coming to me. But it's according to the power that works within you. And so you got to know your source. You got to know that power that works within you. And once you understand where that source comes from, go for it, right?
Right.
What do you have to lose? And I hope Dr. Avis doesn't mind, but one of the things that Dr. Avis shared was about her father a little bit. But on his deathbed, he said to her, I did everything I wanted to do in life during the time that he did it. And it was just incredible. It just choked me up, because that's that power, that courage, and why not try? Because you never know what you can accomplish until you try it.
Absolutely.
Right. And so that week, it was just a full weekend. They asked us yesterday, what did you get out of this? I just said, I'm full. Not only was I full about the content and the way people were pouring into us, but I was full about the connections and the relationships that we made in that room over the last 3 days. So it was powerful. So yes, just stay tuned. Stay tuned. So today, we really wanted to bring our dear sister friend, Deirdre, in. I am so impressed and just admire who she is, how she approaches the world, and just how she conducts business. If I need to know something, trust and believe, I'm calling D. And that's between us. We already know. Because I know D is going to get the answer, and it's going to be from love and from her heart. And that's what this is really all about. You all remember some time ago, it was the day of our conference, the next day after the conference, we talked about our dear friend, who was her sister friend, major retired Trudy Caldwell, who passed away in November, I believe, of last year. And her burial at Arlington, that thing was everything. It was just everything. Her burial was in March. And we went. And so Sherelle was talking about, having Dee on the show to really talk about, because people don't get a chance to really talk about, what that experience was with friendship, right? And then somebody that's your friend becoming your family, and now, they're deceased, and the amount of work you had to do to help prepare, to finalize her life.
Affairs.
Yeah. And so, Dee, welcome to the show again, and thank you for coming to talk about such a serious and sensitive topic. So,
and let me just say this, audience, I need you all for real to pay attention, right? Because this is going to be a serious conversation, because many of us that are watching, listening, participating, we have not done what we need to do to ensure that our families know what to do in the event of our untimely death. We know we are all going to die.
Exactly.
Your stuff, and you don't.
It's not if, it's when.
It's not if, it's when, and you don't know
black?
when. And so, instead of putting it off, hoping that you outlive the when, you need to listen to this show. This is going to be one of the most important shows in your life.
Yes.
We have to get ourselves together. And after today, don't say you didn't know.
Right.
Because we about to give it to you real.
Yeah, it's going to be real.
Welcome, Dee.
Yeah, welcome. And Dee, tell everyone about yourself and whatever you want to share, because you've been on our show. Go ahead.
Exactly. I feel like I'm a part of the family. I want to say the Cradle family.
That's
Cradle whatever.
The Cradle, but then I thought about it. I said, well, Sherella's not a Cradle. She's
No,
a
but
Higgins.
I've been called worse than a
Yeah.
cradle girl. I've been called worse than a cradle.
So, well, Sharon and Sherelle, first of all, thank you very much for asking me to come on. When you first asked, you said, hey, I want to just talk a little bit about Trudy and about her death and how that has impacted you. But then I like when you came back, because I was a little nervous at first. I said, I don't know if I can, because you were talking and I felt like I was getting ready to well up and cry. But when you said you want to talk about family, friendship and death, to me that broadens it and it opens it up to something totally different.
Yes.
Anybody who knows me knows Trudy, because I was
no
friends with
doubt.
Trudy for over 30 years. And we had our ups and downs, but over the years, that's what happens. Friendships grow.
That's right.
And they evolve
yes.
into another level. And I would tell you that Sharon, you probably don't even remember this, and you probably are. Two people say this to me, and it's important to me. Okay.
No, go ahead.
That's good. We'll work with you.
You said, when Trudy died, you said, thank you. You make me want to be a better friend.
Yes.
And I'll tell you something, that was so important. It was important to me, but it's important, period. Because as I thought about this, and I've thought about this so often since Trudy passed away, is that, when we grow up, we meet people and we love people, but we're really attracted to one another based on our virtues and oh, she dresses nice. Or
right.
We like the same parties. And I think about this book, this gentleman by the name of Hugh Prather, he wrote a book called Notes to Myself. And he says, he said most friendships start out that way. Like we are attracted to each other because of our virtues. He said, but we cannot truly be friends until we can get past each other's faults. And then I think that allows us to evolve to the next level. So I think our friendship evolved to that level, but I just think in life, a lot of people don't get to that point. Some people never know true friendship. Right. And that whole piece meant a lot to me. And I think we don't get to that point because I don't think we treat our friendships, our non-intimate friendships, like we treat our intimate friendships. So like whether whatever your thing is, But we will tell a guy, why didn't you call me? Why aren't
Right.
you listening to me? But we won't tell our girlfriend that.
Yes.
We won't say, we'll go talk to another girlfriend and say she doesn't pay attention or she doesn't do. But we need to have those same conversations so those friendships can evolve.
Right.
You know, and I think over the years, Trudy and my friendship, it just continued to evolve.
Right.
And I think we got to the place, I think the last couple of years, obviously we got closer because that's what a terminal diagnosis will do.
Exactly.
And it just brought us closer, and it probably deepened our relationship more than it ever was. I remember like yesterday when I got the call from Trudy. I was at work and she called. And she texted me, and the text was just 911. Let me tell you something. We don't play with 911.
No.
Like, she texted me 911, and I just remember I called her, and she said, I'm at the hospital. I have cancer. And I just said, I'm on my way. And I just left my job. And I just remember. I remember leaving my job, and I went to get her, and she was just standing outside. And it was devastating, you know, because that day you don't know what the diagnosis is.
Right.
And you just think it's interesting because years ago, and this is just how things happen in life. I met a guy years ago, this guy named Michael Bowles. I knew this gentleman for 6 months.
Yes.
I never knew why I met Michael Bowles, but I met Michael Bowles. He asked me to do him a favor. I did him a favor. And Trudy and I used to talk because I introduced him to Trudy. He was a small business guy. She introduced him to some people in the Pentagon. But it was interesting because I met this guy, and like a week later, he had asked me to take a meeting for him. And a week later, he said, hey, sorry, I had to run off. I had just met him. And because I was like, who is this guy? He's asking me to go to a meeting. And he's not
I
even
remember
saying.
you telling me that story.
He called me. He emailed me a week later. He said, I'm so sorry. He said, thanks for taking that meeting. He said, but the day that you had that meeting, I had gotten, he had previously gotten a cancer diagnosis, but he got an appointment in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins that he had to go to that day. And then I remember wondering, like, why is he telling me? Like, why am I never understood why I met Michael Bowles, and 6 months later he died. So when Trudy was diagnosed, because when he had lung cancer, and he was diagnosed stage 4, and he died very rapidly. And so I always wondered, Trudy and I used to talk about him, but I'll tell you how it impacted me. When Trudy got diagnosed and we found out it was stage 4, I immediately thought that was the end. I spent like the first couple of months, I couldn't even be a true friend because I spent half of my time waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
And then over time, I think because she had to go through, mentally, you go through a thing. She had to go through her mental thing also. She had to get to a place where she accepted the diagnosis and then she could truly live her life. But she went through that stage of, I would say, a mild depression, you know. And I don't think I saw all that went on because I didn't live with her.
Let me ask you this. Do you mind sharing with our audience how old Trudy was?
Yeah, when Trudy passed away, she was 51 years old.
And so I wanted to point that out because, you know, we're getting there, right? Some of us are past there. And so thank God for that. And so I just wanted, you know, our audience
the life
to
is not
understand
promised.
that life is not promised. And, you know.
And I will tell you, her death, for me, and probably you all, everybody who
Yes,
knew her,
her,
but this happens when people we know our age pass away. It makes us think about our own mortality.
No doubt.
So it makes us all
Yes.
start thinking about, I need to do more of whatever.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And not saying that Trudy wasn't doing the right things, because Trudy was an avid runner.
Yes, she
You know,
was.
she was eating right. Matter of fact, that's why she didn't realize that she had cancer, because she had went to this more leaf-based diet, and she thought that she was losing weight because of that, not knowing that it was the cancer that was eating away at her. So you just don't know, you know. I mean, my mom died at the age of 52, so every day I'm like, I'm just trying to get to 52.
Yes.
You know? And so when you see what happened with Trudy, you know, it really does make you think about, you know, how you're living. But I will tell you another thing, it's made me understand better that, hey, tomorrow is not, and accept more that tomorrow's not promised.
Right.
And
I like the
live
way you
your
said
life,
accept more, because I
accept
think people
more.
understand it, but you really have to accept that.
Yeah, you have to accept that.
Yes.
You know, because
Because we really don't think tomorrow is our turn, right?
Yeah.
Right.
We
We just don't.
That
We
you
don't
don't
think
think
tomorrow's our turn.
Exactly.
We don't. You know what? Today's not over. We don't even think today is our
Right.
turn.
Right.
Because it ain't too late for us to die today.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we don't think that's today.
Yeah.
And imagine if your turn is tonight
Exactly.
and you don't have your affairs in order.
Exactly.
And relationships.
And your relationships in order.
Exactly.
Get over it. Nobody
Yes.
cares about your feelings. We're all
Let me-
adults,
I'm-
right?
I'm gonna tell you-
Suck it up. You've done something to hurt somebody else's feelings. Fix it. You know, it happens. You know, suck it up. Get over it. Let's live this thing called life.
Yeah.
Let's lift each other up. And let's listen to the type of relationships you want to leave this earth having with people, as opposed to you being all mad in your feelings over something that in the scheme of things just don't even matter.
Right. And let me tell you something to that point that's so serious. My mom died at 52. I was stationed overseas. And my mom died the day after my birthday in 1999. So I was overseas with 13 hours
I don't think
ahead.
I ever knew that.
With 13 hours ahead. And I was like, I'm not calling home because it's my birthday. They need to call me. And the day after my birthday, my mom died. So I don't do that. Yesterday, a parent, my daughter's in Spain. Yesterday, a parent said, have you heard from Gabby? And I went back and I said, I think it's hit or miss with all the kids, but I initiated contact because I don't do that anymore.
Right.
I'm like, call the people you love.
Yes.
Don't be playing around.
Yeah, call
them.
Yes.
Let them know. Let people know you love them. Let them know that you're thinking about them because guess what? That may be your last opportunity. So, yes, my kid might be in Spain blowing me off, but I still get on WhatsApp like, how you doing, baby?
Right.
I don't even act like I'm mad, even though I'm teed off that shit, you know. I'm like, how you doing?
Yes.
Like, send me some pictures. You
Right.
know?
Right.
And so,
Look, what'd you eat?
exactly. So you gotta make the most of that time together, and that's what I love about how Trudy lived her last couple of years.
Get to that. Yes.
I mean, she lived her life like it was golden anyway.
Yes.
But when I tell you that she made sure, I honestly think that last week when she went to homecoming,
Yes.
I think she was already
She knew.
feeling something, but she was determined. I just believe she was determined to get to homecoming, to see her line sisters, because she was probably in no condition to really be going to North Carolina.
Right.
But I think she wanted to spend that time with her sister because she loved her sister.
Yes, she did.
And I mean, she loved her whole family, but she loved her sister Hope. I said, I think she wanted to spend that time with Hope, and I think she wanted to see her line sisters. And she came back because the when she got back on that Sunday, I asked her how she could feel. I could always tell, like, when you spend that time with somebody, you know. Like, I could talk to her on the phone and just the hello. I would know. I would say, "Oh, you sound good today," but I would know. I'm like, "What's going on?" And then she would, she would always try to give me those excuses why she hadn't called. I'm like, "That cough." She's like, "Well, the doc is aware, and I'm going Tuesday, so not a big deal." But obviously, when I picked her up for chemo on that Tuesday, I realized it was a big deal.
Yes.
But I think about the time that we all spent together. Like just last year we all went to Jamaica. Our friend Rob turned 50. And we talked about that. Like, I don't know if this is Trudy's last trip, you know. And so we had a ball. Trudy slept most of the time, but she just had a ball being there with us and being on the beach. And so that's what we did. We just enjoyed the time. Anytime that she could spend with her friends.
That's what she
had
did.
Different friends
She
serve
did.
different purposes.
Yes.
And you know.
And she
You
was an
need
AKA.
that.
Look, she was
Exactly.
an AKA.
You need that.
And year before last, she was out in Vegas with all the
The Delta.
sorors.
Exactly.
And having herself a ball.
Absolutely.
And that's just the type of person she was.
Exactly.
She was just so giving. And I always call her, she was a class act.
Yeah.
Her thing was champagne.
Yes.
That was her way. And she always cheered people on.
She sure did.
And I know that's how she showed up in my life all the time. Go, girl. I'm going to support you. I'm so proud of you. Just do your thing. And that's just how she was. And so you talked about the moment that you got a call from her. Take us through the journey in terms of, how you just did what you do as a friend and just jumped in to make sure that she had everything she needed.
I think that it naturally happens, especially if you already spend time with a person. But also, Sharon, you know me.
Yes.
That's who I am.
Yes.
Like for me, some people have different things that folks will remember about them. I pray it's true, but I always believe the thing people remember is I try to be a good friend. I don't try to be a fly-by-night friend. Trudy used to always say that. She's like, D, you'll get on a plane and go to somebody's baby shower. Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's just type of stuff I would do. You know,
Yes.
like I was always, but she was that type of friend also.
She was.
Like she was
She's a
my
friend to
daughter's
a friend.
She was my daughter's godmother, and I'm
Yes.
telling you, Trudy never missed an event. Like
Right.
she was always there. She was always, godmama extraordinaire. I mean, she loved her godchild, but she also loved her nephew. Like
Yes.
her nephew, I'm so
Yes.
thankful he's getting ready to graduate from high school. But I swear that's what she was living for. She was living to, like it's like she knew that her days were numbered, but there were some things she wanted to do. Like she wanted to be here for her sister's 50th. in
Yes, she
February.
did.
She
And
wanted
she
to be
pressed.
here for her nephew's
Yes.
graduation.
Yes.
And so it's so beautiful knowing that he's getting ready to graduate because I know how important that was for her. But as for the journey, I think it was just kind of a natural thing. And it's so funny because we had our ups and downs. Trudy was never one to answer the telephone.
Right, I know. We used to
And I used to harass her about, like, you need to answer the phone. But once she got the diagnosis, she already knew that I was hinging on a little crazy. but she knew that I was in the car. Me and Gabby, it'd be 11:30 at night.
Yes.
If I called the concierge at her building and that was the last resort. Call the concierge. Have them knock on the door. If they don't hear it, like we'd be in the car driving down there. So she realized at a point like that I was so, especially in the beginning, I was so, I don't want to say paranoid, but I was just so protective about it. And I was like always like, and then I would call, like, it was a protocol. Okay, let me call Hope. I always call Hope. Let me call LaFonda because LaFonda worked with her. So it's like she was like boots on the ground at work. Then Hope, like it was a series of people I need to call before I jumped in my car and went down there.
Right.
But it's funny because she would laugh. I'd be like, just answer the phone. So she started texting me saying, D, I'm okay. Or she would tell the concierge, just tell her I'm okay. Or she would know once the concierge went up, she'd text me like, I'm good, boo. I'm good. I'm just asleep. I was tired because I didn't sleep last night because of whatever,
So tell them about Team Trudy.
Oh yeah. So that's the posse, the whole posse.
The whole posse.
And I'll tell you, Team Trudy, like I'm telling you, these are people who absolutely love Trudy, would do anything for her. When I tell you, we had some times where you had to mobilize the team.
Right.
Like Trudy had lost about 30 pounds about a year or so ago.
Right.
I think it was like last spring. And when I tell you that, it was like, hey, this is what we need to do. Lolita's like, okay, we need to do a meal train. So I set up this meal train. And when I tell you that people just around the clock.
Yes.
Because it was like mission. The mission was get Trudy back to her fighting weight.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, she got back to a weight where she was like, oh, I feel like I want to lose again. Because
Yeah.
she had lost so
She
much weight.
did.
She was wearing all these sexy clothes. And I was like, okay, True. But
And we
the
called her
team-
True.
The team was just so powerful and just so supportive. And like I said, everybody had a different road. I saw myself in the caregiver role. But then there was the rooftop people who went down there and
spend
hung
time
out
with her
and drank champagne on the rooftop with her.
Yes.
And then, she just had different people that she did different things with. And it's interesting because all of these people, I think about our friend Rob, who's been friends with us for years, who talked about how when he would go down there, when it was his turn, like people enjoyed their turn.
Right.
Because they could just be there with Trudy on their own, have these deep conversations and cook. And so it was a beautiful thing,
And I didn't have a turn, but I went.
Yeah.
And that's what I went
Absolutely.
to have those private conversations with her, just to comfort her.
Yeah. Just
right?
to be her friend.
And to be
Like,
her
she's
friend and
friend.
just sit there and just chat with her
she loved
and let
it.
her talk.
Here's what I
And
want
let
to
her
ask
talk.
our audience to think about. How many of you have true friends
Right.
or people in your life? They don't even have to be friends. They can be family. Who do you have in your life that's willing to do this for you? If these people in your inner circle are not willing and able to do this for you, you might want to rethink who's in your inner circle.
Yeah.
And it's about
Because
relationships.
It's about
It is.
relationships.
Over time.
It's about
And
relationships.
when it comes down to it,
Yeah.
all this other stuff we're talking about, but that is when the rubber meets the road. type of
Absolutely.
thing.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. What I think about often, most people don't even know this story, but the day that, this was the day before Trudy died. So she died on a Wednesday morning at like 3 a.m. But on that Tuesday, I'll never forget, I was teaching at downtown, and when I got the call because the people at the hospital, Trudy just would always say, just say you're my sister because it makes things easier.
Right.
And they
Right.
knew me.
Right.
Like, everybody
Yes.
there knew me.
Right.
The oncologist knew me. Everybody knew me. So I got the call. I had already told the people I was teaching for that 1 week, and I told them what was going on. I said, my friend is in the hospital. I said, I may have to run out of here just to check in because things are going on. I just don't know. And I got that call. It was like 10 in the morning. And when I tell you, it was like, okay, I just grabbed my stuff and I left, and I called our friend Rob.
Right.
And Rob and I called the oncologist. I text her, and it's so interesting. The oncologist,
Amazing.
she deserves this lady was amazing. She is interesting. This is how God works. This lady only worked at Walter Reed on Tuesdays. She generally works at NIH, but she happened to, Trudy got admitted on a Tuesday, and then the day that everything happened, where they found the blood clots and she had to do that procedure.
Right.
I called the oncologist. I said, "Hey, Dr. W, I'm on my way. Can you go over?" She was in the clinic that day. She was there when I got there. She got there before I got there. But I just think about how Rob and I call Rob. He gets there. He's just like, grab his stuff. He's gone. We're at the hospital. The doctor, she told me, she said, "Hey, your sister already made the decision on her own to get this procedure." And I was like, thank you, Jesus, because I didn't want to have to make that decision. I was like, well, I would have called Trudy's mom, like, honestly, because I recognize there's limitations.
Right.
Yes.
But I just think about Rob and I. We were standing in there, both of us on each side of the bed with Trudy, and she grabs our hands. I have Jay-Z playing.
She's Jay-Z fan.
And she's got the BiPAP in her, and we're all just, and I'm telling it, I'm crying so hard that I can't even breathe. But Jay-Z is playing, and she does this to me in Rob's hands. Oh. And I'll tell you something, that was so powerful. And we prayed, and then I had already called, because even though I called Rob and the oncologist, I called Hope but she lives a little further. She lives out near Fort Meade. So they got there when she decided to have the procedure. We knew that there was a 50-50 chance that she wouldn't make it. She knew that also. But, just being the fighter that she is, she came out of the procedure, like, to everybody's surprise. Yeah. Now, we couldn't get beyond that because she couldn't fight on her own anymore. Yes. But just imagine, like, them telling her this, and she's still, like, but I just think her favorite line was, like, "I ain't going out like a punk." Like, they will not be talking about how cancer got her.
That's right.
That was her favorite line. She's like, "I'm not going out like a punk."
And she was going to do whatever it took.
Exactly.
She was going to do whatever it took.
Yeah.
So what not the details, but what type of conversations did you and Trudy have in terms of preparation for, because I can only imagine that you all probably had some idea how long, I know she surpassed probably what they said, but in terms of how much time she was gonna have based on what medical science could do. And then what kind of conversations did you have, because I think this is the important piece, the topics that you all talked about to prepare for if she transitioned before you.
Right. And it's interesting because it made me start looking at my stuff. I'm like,
yes.
And let me, that's a good point you make, because one of the things that we all think, and Trudy believes it too, that wiped Trudy out, was that a lady at work she met at work who had started helping her.
Yes.
She had a heart attack and died a week before
Correct.
Trudy did.
Exactly.
And so that sucked the life out of her.
Yes.
And so that's a good point you make about you don't know, like here I was in the beginning thinking, because I had met this gentleman, and although it prepared me, it also, meeting that gentleman made me think that the time was short, and it ended up, Trudy lived 3 years, 2 months, and 17 days with stage 4 cancer.
My God.
And so that's, to me, just fighting and belief and prayer.
Right.
And just.
And a mindset.
Mindset.
Because she had the mindset.
She did. Because, and I'll tell you that we had some times when Trudy first realized, I feel like I realized it up front, but this happens to everybody, I'm sure. Like sometimes you hear stuff, and all after a certain point, all it sounds like is the Charlie Brown,
Right.
you know?
Right.
But I don't think it was like around this. She got diagnosed in August. Around December, she asked the doctor when she was getting off of chemo, and I remember thinking, I never thought she was getting off chemo. Like I understood that, but I realized that she hadn't embraced that yet. And I remember telling her my mom had congestive heart failure.
Right.
But my mom was on kidney dialysis. My mom and her best friend both on kidney dialysis. Her friend, I said, my mom, this is what I had to tell her about, because I don't know anything about cancer, but I said, my mom was on kidney dialysis. She decided to stop, and she died at 52. Her friend was on kidney dialysis. My Aunt Pearl just died last summer. This is 20 years later.
Right.
So I was telling her, I said, so the cost to live is chemotherapy. And so if you do chemotherapy, then you got a fighting chance if you don't do chemotherapy. And so that's what I've come to believe and understand about cancer now, and a lot of these things, is that sometimes it's not about, there's still medicine that can allow you to survive,
right,
but it depends on your fight and your tolerance for pain. Like me,
Correct.
I say she's a fighter because, like, Lord, if I stub my toe, I'm like, oh my God.
I know we were on the phone this morning.
Yeah. And I stepped on an earring.
That's right.
And I was like, oh my God. But Trudy,
I was like, are you okay?
and Trudy had such a tolerance for pain. Like, we would go with the doctor, and the doctor would be like, what's your pain level? Like, when we went to doctors that she didn't know. Like, 'cause sometimes we go to the emergency room. Like, we didn't go a lot, but these doctors don't know her.
Right.
And so they were like, what's your pain level? She'd be like 5. I said, well, double that, because she's a very high tolerance, and she's not really going to tell you how she's feeling. I said, so if she says it's at a 5 or 6, it's probably double that.
Double that.
Because that's how she was. But you asked a question about preparing.
Right.
I think that that's a hard discussion to have with people.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter. She never wanted to have that discussion. Matter of fact, she had 1 or 2 friends that she didn't fall out with them like she's done with them, but like that was early on one of the things that made her push away from 1 or 2 of her friends because of the talk of, you need to get a lawyer, you need to get a will, you need to get, like, people,
they don't want to
they
hear
don't
that.
hear that, you know. And so, like, now she talked, like, day 1 we left the hospital and we go to lunch. We went out to the Capitol Grill in Bethesda, and you should hear her. She was cracking jokes, but then she was also talking about what she wanted to do. Like, of course, she's talking about her nephew. She got to take care of my nephew. You know, I got to take care of my sister. So she was talking about those things, but beyond that first conversation, it wasn't until much later that we had those conversations again, because that is a very tough decision. That's why it's better to do those things now.
When you're healthy.
When you're not thinking that, like as Sherelle said, tonight is your time.
That's right.
You just need to do it.
But it's even hard for people now.
It's hard for
because
people
they
who aren't
think,
even sick.
Right, because they think if they talk about it and
then it will happen.
Then it's going to happen.
Yeah, a lot of superstition around that.
Exactly.
You know? And so it was a very tough discussion, but she was very matter of fact about what she was doing. Trudy loved her family, so she was all about, I'm going to take care of my family, and so that's what she did. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I do think it's a very tough decision, and you got to, first of all, you got to recognize that these are decisions that have to be made. Like me as a mom, I know that I need to make sure my will's in order. Like, I understand, okay, I've earned Social Security, so that's there, and I've earned a retirement, that's there. So that's laid out for my child. And then, you know, this over here you have to write those things out, and then you got to be clear with everybody involved, or at least the key people involved, and who's doing what.
Say that again, because that's important. Pay attention.
You got to let people know what's going on. It's just like, as much as, I live here.
Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah. You got to let people know.
You got to let people know what's going on.
What's going on.
Exactly.
When?
Yeah. Before you die.
Right.
Before something happens. It's like,
so bring everybody together.
Yeah.
Right.
Have a family meeting.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about somebody saying, well, she told me this or he told me that.
Right.
Bring everybody together, have a family meeting.
Yeah.
Be like, all y'all ain't getting
Stop.
No, because those will be the people. You got to be clear. Wait, hold on, because those will be the people. The mass.
Stop it.
And coming after your stuff. Whatever it is. See these earrings? She said I can have them. Ain't nobody heard it.
Right.
But
It's
they
not in
bound
writing.
and determined. It's about your stuff because you
Right.
no longer need it.
Right.
Pay attention. This stuff happens for real. I'm being funny, but this stuff happens for real. Families, stop speaking to eternity over
Right.
your stuff.
Right.
It's
That
not
you
even
have control
theirs.
over right now.
Right,
That you
right.
can do something
Right.
about.
And you could do something about that. So make sure
Yeah.
if you are married, you got to consider that.
Right.
Right? That plays a part.
And if you're not married, you
Right.
gotta
Right. No,
Let me
no.
tell you
Wait,
what-
hold on. Let me
Yeah.
tell you where I'm going with that marriage
Yeah.
thing, though. Let me tell you where I'm going
Yeah.
with that
Yeah.
because people don't get this.
Right.
The relationship is between the man and the wife. When one spouse dies,
Say it.
the stuff is not yours.
Right.
I don't care if they were married for 2 days or 35 days or 35 years.
Right.
The stuff is not yours.
Right.
It is the surviving spouses. Don't ask for nothing. If they want you to have something, they will offer it to you. When people die, it is not the time for you to benefit and capitalize.
Right.
Say
It is
that.
not yours. Get your own stuff. Families are not speaking
You got that?
behind
Yeah.
A fur coat.
other people's
Amen.
stuff.
Yeah.
Like that is the craziest thing.
Yeah.
Weddings and funerals. Just stop it.
Yeah.
It is not yours. It's not your wedding. I don't care if it's your daughter's wedding, your son's. It is not yours.
Right.
If you want to plan, if you want to receive something as a result of somebody's death, get your own. Get your own.
And if you want someone to have something, it needs to be in writing. And it needs to be
Right.
very clear.
It needs to be clear.
yeah.
Don't
So-
leave your family to figure it out.
I
Right.
think people make a lot of assumptions. I'll tell you a couple of things, and this
Yes.
is not even I learned just from Trudy's death, but I learned this more from being in the military.
I was going to ask you about that. Yes.
About insurance policies.
Yes.
So if I'm in a relationship with somebody for 20 years, but I am not technically their next of kin because we're not married, then guess what? The next of kin is still
Going to
whoever
get the stuff.
living, if that's the
Mother,
mama,
the
the
sister,
sister,
mhm.
if it's
The
somebody
dad,
else
the
living
child.
that is a blood relative,
Yes.
Right.
then that is
They're going to get it before you.
exactly. And so people have to be mindful of that. I think about when my aunt Glo died. When I was in the military, but it's interesting because I took care of when I was 16. I used to catch the bus to her house and help her out when she had a heart attack. Well, before she died, because she was ailing, she had pancreatic cancer, but she did not want her house to go to the state. So she put her house in my name in the form of a quitclaim deed.
Right.
But then guess what? When she died, her grandkids who never came to see her, they all people showed up and I mean my intent was I was young. I didn't even know anything about thank God she had great friends and they helped me understand. And what's really interesting? I was not the executor. My Aunt Mabel, going back to friendship, my Aunt Mabel, who most people I know know
love Aunt Mabel.
and she loves Sharon.
Loved
she always
her.
said, where's that lady with those with that lavender suit?
That's right.
Yeah. Anyway, but Aunt Mabel is interesting but you know what? They were friends for like 70 years.
Yes.
But when she died, she left Aunt Mabel in charge. It was Aunt Mabel who said, "Darling, I'm in charge." She said, "I'm the executor, but I live in St. Louis, so
Yes.
I need you to send. I just want the fur coat because my aunt had some fur coats, but she said, send me the fur coat, and you can take care of everything else and give it out as you see fit." And I was young, so I was just trying to get the house empty so I could sell it, you know.
Right.
But it was interesting because people were coming, they want this and that, and I'm like, what in the world? But
Your
that's what
body,
happens,
your body is not even cold.
Yeah.
And people are coming for your stuff.
Yeah.
Yes.
So write down what your stuff is. Like you would think it would be obvious, right?
Right.
That if a mother passes away and she has a daughter,
Right.
that daughter will have first dibs on everything,
Right.
right?
Right.
But here come all these other people.
Right.
I've been knowing your mama longer than you.
Right.
Go sit down somewhere.
Right.
I'm entitled to this. Somehow, I didn't convince myself, you know, and we need to talk about this right now.
Right.
And it doesn't matter that your family is grieving for somebody who passed away.
But it's the rationale that people use. So let's say you had an argument with your mom a month ago, right? And people say, well, you weren't talking to your mom anyway. I mean,
She
I've
was still my
heard
mother.
these things. Exactly, but I've
yeah.
heard this
Yeah.
rationale, and
Yeah.
it's irrational.
Exactly.
Right.
It's just
Exactly.
irrational.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
no
Still your
matter
mother.
what anyone else thinks, it is about next of kin.
Exactly.
And the kin have to figure it out.
Exactly.
Everybody else that's not next of kin, who don't have any rights
Exactly.
or entitlement, really should not really be involved unless
Exactly.
someone asks, for your opinion about something. I'm
Exactly.
dealing with this, I'm dealing with that. I
Right.
don't know how to quite make this happen. And so that to me is what, but to just show up
Right.
and go through people's things and just start taking people's things. And so you, because you were the executor of her estate,
Right.
you had a
And
little
so
more
that is-
control.
Exactly. And so that was what
Right.
was good, because she was very clear. It was
Yes.
very clear. I want to take care of my family.
And it was in writing.
Period. And it was in writing.
Yes.
And so there was no, it was like, I want to be buried at Arlington, and I want to be buried in my uniform, and I want to take care of my family.
Right.
And, this is what it is.
Right.
And she's very
Exactly.
clear
And
about
that's
that,
good.
And
that's good.
Yeah.
But how many of us are?
But let me
No.
say this too. I can only imagine, I don't know if this was your case, but it's a lot that we just don't understand.
Right.
Oh,
We
yeah.
don't understand a lot about laws when it comes to when people die.
Right.
Like for instance, when you have a will,
Right.
even a will, you got to go to probate. And what does
Right.
that mean? How much it costs?
Right.
Just everything. And
Right.
so there's a lot about estate taxes. And
yeah.
one of the things about, let's say you die in February, you owe some taxes to the to the federal government. They're going to get their
you're
money. It's just
absolutely
a
right.
lot.
It's a lot of stuff. Like I just learned recently, and I've been handling her estate for almost 6 months. But I just learned recently that you have to set up an estate account with an EIN in the name for the estate.
See?
And you still got to do those taxes. Like the lady's like, okay, you got to do these taxes, and then I'm gonna have to see you again in January because you're gonna need to do the taxes again to close the estate out.
Isn't that
Okay?
something?
So it's just a lot of stuff.
So
that
do
has to
they
be
do
done.
they then just calculate everything that came into the estate and they charge tax on it? What does that
Well,
mean?
I don't know what that means.
Oh.
I just know that you have to
do it.
in my head, I just think it's about accounting for stuff.
Yes.
And I'm so happy about that.
Yes.
I'm happy because you know that
Yes.
that nobody can come back and say, well, you didn't do no. Well, here, it's all here because first of all, this is the thing I think people don't realize. Everybody's like, oh, this person's gonna spend the money to do this. First of all, you can't go spend checks in those people's names.
Right.
I mean, unless you're used to doing illegal stuff and you know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Like, I just take it to the bank and I put it in the bank. If there's something there, I'm going to put it in the bank.
Exactly.
If it's $2 or $2,000, it's going in the bank.
For accounting purposes. Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
Exactly. And so that
That's called fraud.
this conversation is so near and dear because I think a lot of people can experience it. I mean, had experience with it. And we were talking at the lunch table today with some folks about financial planning.
Right.
And a lot of this came up.
Yeah.
And Sherelle just said, people don't know what they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But some things we just got to do better about going to search for it to get the
We
information.
have to do better about
Yes.
about the first thing is the will. And
Yes.
I think we make things difficult. Oh, I gotta go. No, what you need to do is go online. Find you can find a will for $20
Right.
because there's enough companies that sell templates for stuff. And in the court, because the court doesn't expect the average citizen to even understand what a legal looking document will,
Right.
therefore, and all that. No, like, be clear. You can
Be
go-
clear.
you can
Your
go-
name.
Go type a will.
Yeah.
Get, you sign it. You make sure you got some witnesses, and
Right.
be very clear, like just like we
And
taught
file it
on
with the
delegation.
court.
Exactly.
And keep some copies.
Exactly. Exactly.
And make sure it's in a sealed envelope. And so I was going to ask you about the military because I know the military gave you all some advantage in kind of knowing a little bit more about this stuff because
Not really.
Not
See,
really?
You join
Okay.
The military, and the military's like, oh yeah, $400,000 worth of insurance. You say that, and then people go on. Sometimes people forget that they get divorced. They forget to change the beneficiary.
Right.
This happens so much in
Yes.
the military.
Yes.
Or
'Cause they don't- okay.
As citizens,
more
too.
importantly, they get married and forget to change.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
that's a little different. But also, you might have your mom down there.
Right.
And really, now it should be your spouse.
Right.
Because your will is your will. You can contest the will. You can't contest an insurance
Insurance policy.
Right.
Okay, you can't contest an insurance policy. So whoever's name is there,
That's who gets
a
it.
big deal in the military. But I think it's probably a big deal in the government.
Say that
because
again. Say
in
that
the
again.
government-
Wait a minute. Hold
Yeah.
on. Back
Right.
up.
Yeah.
Because you talking fast, and I want them to catch this. Say
Yeah.
that again. A
You can
will?
contest.
Yeah, you can contest a will.
Yes.
You cannot contest an insurance
No,
policy.
because whoever the beneficiary is the
is the beneficiary.
Correct.
So you need to be clear about who you want
you need
to
to
be your
see the
beneficiary.
paperwork.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't let chance take over, because that won't work out in your favor.
And as HR professionals,
Yeah.
that happens a lot where people
let me-
meant to change
Let me
beneficiaries
say-
and
let me
never
say
did.
this, and Sherelle, you probably know this, and I mean, you probably could do a one-pager, package it up, and teach it to everybody in the government. See, in the government, you can go in the government and say, I don't want insurance, but guess what? You still get
get
insurance, so
insurance.
you need a beneficiary for
Yeah,
that insurance
insurance.
that you didn't want.
Exactly.
That comes out anyway. It's just like I'm a small business, and so I have employees.
Right.
And so I pay, it's a $50,000 policy.
Right.
My employees get regardless that I pay for.
Right.
So that's how the government is.
Right.
So everybody
It's
in the
income
government
protection.
has. Can you even deny that basic?
You can
that
waive
life
it.
insurance?
Yeah,
the
you can
basic
waive it.
one.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
So a lot
I
of people
didn't-
don't waive it, but they
Right.
also
No.
don't add beneficiaries.
Beneficiaries.
So you know who it's going to? It's going to the next of kin. Okay, whoever that person
And
is.
don't call us
Yeah.
Right.
asking us to get involved in the
Because-
family drama, because by law,
Yes.
we cannot get involved.
Exactly.
And I tell you, I've had that happen on more than one occasion where the family, one story shortly is one family, this dude who died was one of my employees. And his family, he had like 9 brothers and sisters. And they were all calling me, and he had a mama.
And it goes to the mama. Guess what? It goes to mom. If mom is living, mom or dad is living.
Exactly.
It goes to them. It doesn't matter who else is
Yes.
left. And
I said, don't call me.
Yeah.
Right.
But we don't talk about that enough in the government. An agency as big as the federal government, they need to have conversations about that. But I think it's like we assume a lot of stuff
We
that
do.
people automatically know.
know,
People
right.
don't know that. Like, yeah, guess what? Even though you didn't elect to get the $1 million policy because you don't pay extra, you get this as for
Right.
being an employee anyway, and it's like your base salary.
Right.
And so, that goes to whoever. So you need to still identify who the beneficiary is for all of this stuff.
And don't leave it to chance.
Yeah.
Because the chance will backfire.
Yeah.
And being an executor of someone's estate, I just think about the magnitude of responsibility that is, and you have to be someone of integrity.
Absolutely.
Let me tell you how important that is when you go to the court. They
Yes.
ask you how much money you make. It's on the front of the document. When I went down to D.C. and I said, why are they wanting to know like what I do and what my, and they said because they want to make sure that it doesn't go to somebody who is going to pilfer through somebody's estate.
Isn't that something?
And so that's so incredible saying that. It's like they will check you out.
Right.
They'll make sure that,
But how about this? How about we have adult conversations with the person we want to be our executor?
Right.
First of all, make sure they want to accept that responsibility, because
yes.
that's a heck of a responsibility.
Exactly.
I don't
Yes.
care if you inside or outside the family.
Right.
Yeah.
And before you ask them, ask yourself, is this person responsible? Do
got
they
that
have
right.
integrity? And is this something I want to trust them with?
Yeah.
Because that's a serious decision that needs to be made.
Exactly.
And we need to make sure that we're making those decisions through clear lenses.
Right.
We do not want to mess that up. And if you have minor children,
My
Right.
you
goodness.
need
my
to
goodness.
think about
Yes.
who you want to take care of your kids,
Right.
and you need to leave them some money
Right.
to take care of your kids.
And
Right.
you have to trust that they're going to do that.
And you have
Exactly.
to trust
Right.
that they're going to do that.
That's right.
Let me tell you this. So
And
interesting.
hold on, have a conversation with those kids and tell them that the money you left for somebody responsible to take care of your kids is not their money.
Right.
Because you will be surprised how many kids will grow up and be saying,
And then start-
that somebody spent all my
Their
money
Right,
taking
right,
care of
right,
me.
Right.
Right? So make sure you think all of this stuff through,
Right.
because it's going to be important.
Right.
So John Singleton died this week.
Right.
And so
Oh,
interestingly
goodness.
enough, a lady posted, I wanted to find this, but I remember reading it and I thought she's so spot on. And look at Nipsey Hussle. But the lady, she said, please get your estate planning done. Start today. Get a will, get a trust, get life insurance.
Yes.
Have your power of attorney and conservators appointed. Assign beneficiaries on your bank accounts.
That's right.
Okay?
Yes.
Payable on death, the POD. Somebody Somebody
Right.
needs to be on there. Have someone assigned to make decisions for you if you're incapacitated. Because
Right.
what happened, John Singleton, he's in a
Incapacitated.
coma. What happens? His child goes to court, and the mom
Mom,
decides to
'cause she
sign-
was a
say
business
she wanted to
manager.
be, because she was a business manager, she was going to be his conservator. The daughter's like, no, you're going to squander it. Now, sadly, he died a couple of days later.
Right.
And I think it is going to end up falling to the mom anyway. But look at that. I mean, look at that. Look at what's happening right now in the Nipsey Hussle situation. Even though he did leave for his kids, understand that one of his children, because he was with that mom.
Yeah, I just heard
she's
that story
good.
today.
They said it was a 50-50, but guess what? This is why everybody's so trying to get the other kid. See, the other kid
Right.
was living with him.
Right.
That's right.
Not with the mom.
Right.
That's right.
And so you gotta.
And so
you-
money
now-
come with her.
Yeah.
So everybody fighting over it.
Whoever has the kid, that's where the money. So that's
Right.
why it's important. What Sharon said is make sure that it's very matter of fact who's supposed to. Now, like if you know that something happened to me, it's gonna go to my ex-husband. The child is, but they don't have to control the money. You can still
make sure,
provisions
yes.
for somebody to take care of the money
Yes.
so that it's doled out in a way that the child has, that financial.
And can I say this? And I don't want to generalize, but the
Right.
people I know, please do not say you can't afford insurance.
Yeah.
Because we're walking around with Louis Vuitton bags.
Absolutely.
We're going on vacation.
Yes.
We go out to eat.
A lot.
We
On
buy
the regular.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
could just
seriously.
stop there. We
I mean,
go out
that's
to eat.
it.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
an
when
insurance
you-
policy for
That's
sure.
your insurance policy.
And you'll still be able to go out to eat.
Exactly.
You just might not be able to go out to eat every week. or
Yeah, you
twice
may not
in
be
a
able to go to
weekend.
Roof Chris or
Yeah.
Eddie V's or you
Right.
know
But you
whoever.
still go out to
If
eat.
you go on Friday nights at their happy hour. Yeah. Anyway, but other than that, you can't go to Roof Chris.
And so I just really did. I just thought it was so important for us to talk about this because we hear it over and over and
Absolutely.
over again.
And lately, we've been hearing it so.
Yes, and we're talking
often.
about people
Yeah.
who have so many more means than the average person,
Right.
and some of them still have not
Yeah.
Taking care of their business.
done their due
But
diligence.
I'll say, big ups to Trudy because she was very matter of fact.
Yeah, she was.
She had a small estate, but she was very matter of fact about, and it was very clear.
And it was hers,
You
but-
know, it was hers. It's like
Exactly.
I want to take care of my family.
Exactly.
And that's what she did. And
Exactly.
and you can't go wrong there.
Exactly. And we had the Dr. Avis tell us a story today about her father, and it was just so empowering. And so because of what he modeled, she is now modeling with her kids.
Right.
And it's
Right.
just, it was just amazing. And that's an example.
Yeah.
And so, as you know, the hour goes by quickly, right?
Can I say one last thing, Sherelle? One last thing.
Yeah,
I
'cause
just
we gotta
wanna say
wrap
this,
up
because
quick.
you all
Yeah.
said
Quick.
you all said family, friendship, and death. But I want to say this one last thing about friendship. Khalil Gibran, the book The Prophet, when he talks about friendship, he says, seek your friends with hours to live, not hours to kill. Stop thinking that tomorrow is promised because it's not. Love on your friends and your family today because you do not know if it's the last time you are going to see them.
My God.
Okay. Well, we'll close with
Yes,
that.
that
Thank
was
you all
it.
for
Great
tuning in.
closing.
We hope you get your stuff in order,
Yes.
and we will see you next Sunday.
Thank you. That was awesome.